Hey guys, it is I, Halloween Dan, doing a super quick and unanticipated video today because, to be honest, I wasn't sure I wanted to talk about this. I wasn't sure if there was really much need for me to talk about this. But I've decided to because I want to stay loyal almost to my channel in a way, and loyal to a particular brand that I've always spoken about, always done videos about, almost from the very start of this channel. It's just that what they've so far revealed this year is a little bit disappointing.
Well, that's disappointing. I needed that boost today.
But I think there might be a reason for it that we will discuss. So without much further ado, let's just get straight into the video and let's check out some of the new animatronics and props coming out of Morris Costumes that have been revealed at the Halloween and Party Expo in Las Vegas. Let's do this. Before I get too far into the video, can you just hit that like and subscribe button? It's very much appreciated. And also, I just want to show you this cool t-shirt I'm wearing. It's from a firm that's based in one of my favorite stores in the world, Affleck's Palace, which is in Manchester. They're an amazing sort of store of stores, like, that are filled with crazy stuff. Like, if you like just weird things and cool kind of Halloween-y vibes, yeah, you should check out Affleck's Palace if you're ever in Manchester. This is a store called Modern Street Apparel. I went and bought some t-shirts and hoodies and things from them the other day. But just look at this t-shirt. I've got to reveal my bald spot. Sorry if you see my bald spot. Less bitching, more witching. Sorry if you see my butt. Look at that. Isn't that so cool? You know me, guys. Anything all year spooky vibes, and this has got that vibe. I love it. Love it. Such a cool t-shirt. And it's really good quality too. So if you're ever in Manchester or you want to look up Modern Street Apparel, you'll find them on Facebook. They sell online. You can go and buy stuff from them. They have a great range of stuff, so go and check them out. Anyway, now on to the matter in hand. And that is the Halloween and Party Expo. I think it's finished now. I'm pretty sure it's over. Normally at this time of year, everyone is super hyped about this particular expo because it's pretty much the first sort of little introduction, official introduction into the new Halloween season of any particular year. And everyone is always like, oh my God, I can't wait to see this stuff. And it gets blown across the internet and everyone's like trying to race for scraps of things to talk about and talk about these new things that are being revealed. But this year, their vibe is very different because, unfortunately, there's not a huge amount of exciting stuff to talk about. Because without a doubt, over the last few years, for haunt enthusiasts like myself, the focus, the main deal at this expo has been Morris Costumes. Morris Costumes use this as their kind of platform to reveal all their new props and animatronics for the coming year. And over the past years, it's been the thing that everyone wants to talk about. It's always very, very exciting seeing what Morris Costumes are bringing out at this particular expo. Except for this year. This year, perhaps, at least when it comes to Morris Costumes, not the expo as a whole, really just the Morris Costumes booth, there is a little bit of disappointment here because they haven't really shown off everything they've got to offer. And people know they've got more to offer because we've kind of already seen leaked pictures of their catalogue and stuff. So we know there's more to come, but it just wasn't at this expo. And I think there's a very sensible reason for that, which we will talk about in a minute. But before we go too far down that road, we're going to talk about the props we have seen. And at least one of them is actually worth talking about. So first of all, I've got to give a huge shout out to LMJ Halloween, who he kind of does videos every single year. He goes around the booths at the Party Expo and he's shared his videos and he's allowing people to use them. So thank you so much, LMJ Halloween. Go and check out LMJ Halloween if you haven't done already. He does great reviews of props anyway, and he does an amazing haunt too. But also, he does allow haunters like me and people who are interested in this stuff to use his footage to talk about this stuff. So thank you, man. And when I first saw the first bits of footage he was bringing out, he was focusing mainly on the Morris Costume stand, of course. And immediately though, what I thought to myself was, is this Morris Costumes or is this the Sunstar stand? Because Sunstar are there as well. Because the Morris Costumes stand was dominated by Sunstar props. Now I will just say, because I'm not trying to be down on Sunstar, there are some impressive Sunstar props this year. And that kind of gives me a little tingle of excitement because being from the UK, Sunstar dominates a lot of the things we see here in the UK are Sunstar based. So if Sunstar's range is improving, and it looks like there's some relatively interesting things in this lineup, then that's good for the UK, and it's good for the UK's Halloween, because it means that we're going to get ever so slightly better props from Sunstar. But the reason it's disappointing when it comes to Morris Costumes is because the focus of people's attention when it comes to Morris Costumes is SVI. People want to see the new SVI animatronics that we're going to get out of Morris Costumes. And this year, there's a smattering. There's like 3 that are really worth talking about. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a clown. Of course, it's a clown. But we're not going to be mean to clowns, remember. New year, new me. We're going to be okay with clowns. Just control yourself, take deep breaths. Back in the room. So this is Snippers the Clown, which is a clown holding scissors, cutting with the scissors, bloody covered scissors. He's got this sort of orangey, yellowy, purpley outfit, stripy and stuff. Very bright green hair, swirls of red and yellow eyes, light up eyes too. Very menacing looking smile. But to be honest, very generic. I'm kind of taking my temperature gauge on clowns now from other haunt enthusiasts who like clowns. Like, if they say the clown is good, then it must be good. Because I'm a terrible judge of these clown props. And the general thought process around Snippers the Clown is that he's okay. He's nothing to write home about. He's a pretty average, pretty generic clown. And that actually the saddest thing about this clown is that he probably would have been better and more well received if they had left him as he was. Because if you didn't know, guys, this is a reskin of the groundskeeper that was revealed last year by Morris Costumes. You might remember this time last year, one of the props everyone was quite hyped about was this groundskeeper guy who had some shears and he was gardening, and that was the prop. The groundskeeper never ended up being released by Morris Costumes. They never actually sold him. And so he just became one of those long lost animatronics, the what could have been animatronics. And then this year they've reskinned him as a clown. Now I understand why they might have done that. There is a bigger market for clowns than there is for gardeners, right? I get that. But it's kind of generic, this. We've seen lots of clowns. This isn't a particularly impressive clown. Why has he got scissors? I mean, you need to give these clowns some kind of prop. I get it. But what is he? Is he crafting? Is he a tailor? What's with the scissors? What was he doing? Was he in charge of a kid's crepe paper party or something? I don't know. What was he doing with the scissors? Maybe it doesn't matter. But either way, it's a very peculiar prop for a clown to have, I would argue. Either way, he's okay. I think he's just pretty basic and a bit meh.
Step rider. Snippers. Snips and slices with precision so fine it will send shivers down your spine.
The other particularly meh prop that's been talked about is his set of twins, the Apocalypse twins, which stand about 4 foot high. They're not particularly impressive in terms of height. And they're 2 doll-like children that are holding a teddy bear and they're kind of swaying about. Now, to be honest, they're not impressive in the slightest. We get a lot of doll-like props here in the UK. Some are better than others. This is a pretty bad one, to be honest. They just look like a pair of dolls. I think they're supposed to be children, but they're actually more like a couple of dolls. They've even got cracks on their face, like the porcelain of their face is cracked. The outfits are questionable. I don't really get what they're wearing. And I don't know, they're just, what do they really bring to anyone's display or haunt? What were people needing a pair of kind of spooky looking twins with red light up eyes who aren't really saying anything or doing anything? They're just kind of maliciously moving whilst holding a teddy bear. I'm not sure what that's for, but there you go.
I feel like the cut things that are a bit more delicious.
But the the one prop in this lineup that's really worth talking about, and I think actually has made people go, wow, okay, that's interesting, is a prop that's called the Vertebral Zombie Couple, which is pretty gross, but also pretty awesome. So this is a zombified woman. That's the main feature of this. It's a zombified woman. She's got kind of witchy vibes to her, which is, I think, what I like about her particularly. But she's got this very zombie look to her. Her dress is frayed, covered in blood splatter. Her face is very old and wrinkled. She's got grey hair tied back in a bun. But then, of course, she's got this zombie-esque look to her. She's staring out into space, and she's got these gashes and cuts on her face, which are bleeding and stuff around the mouth area. There's blood on her, possibly of a victim. And all the lines that she's saying are to do with, like, eating flesh and sort of when are we going to consume these people and all that kind of stuff. So she is supposed to be a zombie. What sets this prop apart, though, is what's in her hand. And she's holding the severed head of her husband. And it's just that in its own right is pretty cool, and it's pretty disgusting, to be quite honest with you. The head also speaks and has light up eyes, and the two are kind of talking to each other. She's saying there's a point where there's most of it's growling and stuff, and she's talking about her husband, who definitely looks more skeletal and zombie-like than the wife does. But then he's sort of saying, I love you to death, and all this creepy nonsense. And she's sort of responding back to him, and they're talking about when they're going to start devouring more people and stuff. It's kind of creepy and cool in its own right. But what really sets it apart is that there's the vertebrae of the spinal cord of the husband, what's left of his spine, is sticking out from the bottom of this head. And when activated, it spins, it kind of like turns and flails about a bit like a snake. And at the same time, it's making like bone cracking noises. It's really, really gross and disgusting, but in a really kind of cool way. I don't remember ever seeing anything do that with a spinal cord flailing around like that. It's really, really gross, but really, really cool. It's not something I would ever buy, or at least not anytime soon, because my horn is still edging on the family-friendly side because I've got young kids, and a lot of young kids come to see my display. But I like it. I appreciate it. It's very creepy. If you've got a zombie horn or you like your zombies, this is a great addition to any zombie horn, without a doubt.
Don't worry. We'll I'll cut them to pieces for you.
But apart from a few extra Sunstar props and one or two other notable mentions, there's not a huge amount on this stand or at this expo from Morris Costumes worth talking about, which is both disappointing, and I think a lot of people are disappointed by it, but also potentially exciting. And here's why. The sad truth is, everyone gets very hyped about this expo and what Morris Costumes are bringing out every single year at this time of year, because it's pretty much all we've got at this time of year. It's the only real thing to talk about. It's the only real thing to truly get excited about for home haunters and the likes. But very quickly, it gets forgotten about. You know, we start off the year like, oh my God, Morris Costumes are so amazing. And then by May, everyone's like, Morris who? Morris what? Because there's already so much else that's come out. We've got Lowe's, we've got Home Depot, we've got Spirit Halloween. Everyone's focusing all their attention on those firms. Even by the time we get to Transworld, which is only like a month and a half away, right? People are over it. People are over Morris Costumes and what they're going to potentially bring to the market. And it's always kind of sad. I love watching all the other YouTubers go to Transworld and getting excited and hyped about all the stuff. And obviously their focus is on things like Distortions Unlimited, Scare Factory, Beastcraft, Poison, all the big names with the big hitting animatronics. That's their focus because it's big and impressive. But the truth is, a lot of that stuff, as cool as it is out of reach for ordinary home haunters like me. So we watch it like, wow, how amazing. But the truth is, none of us are ever going to own, or the majority of us are never going to own any of that impressive stuff. Big 20-foot mantis pumpkin thing is very incredible and awesome, but I'm never ever gonna own that, ever, right? So it's out of reach. It's impressive, but out of reach. Whereas Morris Costumes, there is actually at least half the chance that one day I might own some of this stuff because it is more realistic for home haunters to own. And yet, by the time we get to Transworld, they show up, they put their booth out, and everything on that booth has already been seen at the Party Expo. And no one's excited about it anymore. You'll get some of the YouTubers who will come along and go, oh yeah, here's that clown on a stick. You remember the one we saw 2 months ago? And they kind of film the Morris costumes more kind of like out of duty than anything else. And then they move on to the more exciting stuff that's out. So I think Morris costumes have done a very clever thing. I think they've realized this. And I think they've realized that though they aren't selling to end users, they are selling to retailers. So it's not quite as an important thing for them to impress people like us who are buying the product from a store. They still want there to be some hype and excitement around their props. And if by the time you get to Transworld, everyone's already over all your stuff, then maybe that's not the way to go. So what I think Morris Costumes are doing, which is pretty obvious really, but makes a lot of sense, is they are delaying the excitement around their range. They've shown us 1 or 2 little sneaky things and some of their lineup, mostly Sunstar, but they are not showing us the big hitting items, the things that are really going to surprise people and maybe even blow a few minds. And I think what we'll see is, by the time we get to Transworld, Morris Costumes might have a much larger, more impressive booth, and we'll see all those animatronics and stuff that we normally would have seen revealed at the Halloween and Party Expo, but in Transworld instead. So instead of Morris Costumes just being a side note at Transworld, it'll be one of the main booths to go and see, because there'll be all these new exciting animatronics that no one has seen in actually moving yet, and it'll be worth actually recording, and there'll be a whole bunch more hype much closer to the time of year when all the other stores are also revealing their stuff. I could be wrong, that might not be what they're doing at all, but that makes sense to me, and I kind of think that is what they're doing. I think they're being tactical, and they're thinking, you know, if everyone's over all our stuff by the time you get to like May, and everyone's kind of forgotten what we were even bringing out, let's just delay it a little bit and reveal most of it at Transworld, because that seems to be everyone's focus rather than this particular expo. Let's just face it. I don't know. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not wrong. I hope that Morris Costumes do that, because I have a real soft spot for Morris Costumes. They're some of the first props I ever got excited about. They're also, in here in the UK, they're still kind of the majority of the props we get. We do see more and more like Home Depot, Lowe's, Spirit props appearing on our shores now. But originally, Morris Costumes kind of dominated with their SVI lineup. It was always Morris Costumes this, Morris Costumes that. They were the big hitting props that we would get on this side of the pond. So more out of that kind of loyalty to the brand, I hope for their sakes, they've got something really wicked awesome to show us at Transworld. Because if not, this could potentially be a poor year for them. I hope and pray that Transworld completely reinvents them. But we'll see. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I know it's longer than I said it was going to be, but I just wanted to get my opinion out there. And I will see you in the next one. Keep it spooky. Bye.